Welcome to another lecture. Today, we will explore the fascinating world of professional wrestling terms. Hello, I'm Professor Alexei.
Hello, I'm Priyanka. I'm Professor Alexei's teaching assistant.
Let's begin with a structural overview. Professional wrestling terms form a compact, highly functional jargon used by wrestlers and promoters. It covers roles, audiences, match structures, and the backstage mechanics that hold a live show together. In simpler terms, it is a toolkit of shorthand so performers can plan who does what, when, and why, without stopping the show to explain the plot. To frame our discussion in more formal language, much of this lexicon originates in carnivals and circuses. These were traveling enterprises that optimized for secrecy and efficiency, and they cultivated code words to coordinate performance and money while concealing method. Terms such as kayfabe, the practice of presenting storylines and rivalries as real, and spots, planned sequences within a match, are not decorative, they are operational. They preserve the illusion and govern timing, safety, and narrative cohesion. In this context, jargon is less ornament than infrastructure.
So, why should we care beyond the ring? I guess understanding this language changes how we watch the show, right?
Indeed. Understanding the jargon illuminates both the entertainment and the business. Terms about gates, houses, and draw quantify revenue and market response. Terms about bumps, selling, and finishes regulate performance quality and audience psychology. We observe a dual identity. The same vocabulary lets workers shift between art and commerce without changing languages. Historically, of course, fans were not meant to follow along. The code existed in part to maintain mystique. By veiling booking decisions and outcomes, promoters guided reactions and sustained serial narratives over weeks and months. Two foundational facts are helpful here. First, the terminology simultaneously serves business and performance. It catalyzes quick decisions about money, markets, pacing, and character, while keeping participants synchronized. Second, while the lexicon evolved through regional territories, absorbing local color, it remained mutually intelligible enough that a performer could travel and still work seamlessly. As it were, a dialect continuum with a common grammar. Chronologically, the practice of coded speech is traceable to early 20th century touring circuits, when protecting trade secrets was guardrail and gospel. And then, beginning in the 2000s, the internet democratized access, circulating glossaries, interviews, and commentary that popularized the code among fans.
It makes me wonder about the format these days. We often see glossaries online. Some even list total terms and cross-link them.
Yes, the topic is commonly presented as a glossary, often using description list-style entries that permit quick lookup. Labels such as total wrestling terms function as navigational aids, signaling scope at a glance. The structure suits a living vocabulary that accrues nuance by usage rather than fiat, and it helps newcomers triangulate meaning across related entries. Before we proceed, a personal note. I have long been fascinated by how carnival culture bequeathed not only stagecraft but language to professional wrestling. In studying linguistic evolution, we find that secrecy, commerce, and performance often co-evolve. And here that triad is unusually explicit. It is, if you will, a traveling classroom in how groups encode knowledge. Moving forward, let's introduce 3 questions to organize our inquiry. Priyanka, would you set the agenda?
Professor, may I ask the first one? Why was it so important to use specialized jargon in front of fans historically?
It's crucial to understand that the code was a movable curtain. It maintained kayfabe and safeguarded tradecraft. By speaking a language most spectators did not parse, performers could plan finishes, signal adjustments, and discuss pay without puncturing the illusion of genuine competition. The jargon functioned as both operational security and social glue. Fluency signaled membership and reliability in a profession where trust underpins safety and livelihood. In simpler terms, it kept the story intact while letting the factory run on the shop floor in plain sight.
Professor Alexei, could you clarify how this jargon helped in coordinating performances, like practically inside the ring?
Certainly. Terms such as spot, bump, and finish compress complex choreography into single syllables. A whispered word or a brief cue can reset timing or shift tempo without telegraphing intent to an uninitiated ear. Selling names the craft of making pain legible. Heat names the temperature of audience emotion. A quick mention of house or gate can, even midday, inform how long a program should run. Because these words carried shared meaning, wrestlers could make on-the-fly adjustments to protect safety or heighten drama, all while maintaining character in front of the audience. Arguably, it is the linguistic equivalent of hand signals in an orchestra pit, except the musicians are also telling the audience that the trumpet and the drum are bitter rivals.
Okay, building on that, what if professional wrestling had never developed a specialized jargon? Would fans have figured things out much sooner?
We can infer that, absent a code, the audience would have encountered the mechanics earlier and more often. The boundary between story and structure would have been porous. Without linguistic camouflage, planning would risk exposure, and the illusion of spontaneous conflict might have weakened sooner. That shift would likely have altered audience perception, perhaps accelerating the transition from credence to studied appreciation. The industry's ability to manage suspense over time would, to some extent, have been impaired.
Professor, how might this have affected the industry's growth or shape over time?
If the mystery had evaporated earlier, the business might not have sustained its distinctive hybrid of theater and market quite as effectively. The jargon helps align creative risks with commercial outcomes. Remove that tool, and coordination costs increase while narrative control decreases. The likely consequence is a different equilibrium, in which promoters lean away from long arc storytelling and toward shorter, less interdependent spectacles. In conclusion, the code was not merely decorative. It was part of the scaffolding that made the enterprise scalable across towns, weeks, and rosters.
To shift gears a bit, what are the implications of the internet popularizing these terms in the 2000s and after?
Internet discourse reduced information asymmetry. Glossaries, interviews, and commentary turned once insider words into common currency. As fans learned the code, the fan-promoter relationship changed. Some promotions incorporated meta-references, effectively acknowledging the audience's literacy and playing with it. The result is a more participatory, interpretive environment, where viewers understand spots and finishes as narrative devices, not secrets, and where business terms such as draw or house are part of the weekly conversation about value and booking. Naturally, this sophistication can be double-edged. It can deepen engagement, or it can induce overanalysis that cools surprise.
Professor Alexei, can you point to a specific area where further research is needed, now that audiences are so literate about the code?
A promising frontier is the effect of meta-references in storylines on engagement intensity over time. Do overt winks that invoke kayfabe, heat, or finishes increase short-term excitement but erode long-term trust, or vice versa? Methodologically, one could correlate variations in linguistic transparency with measurable outcomes such as attendance, merchandise uptake, or social media sentiment across comparable markets. It's important to understand whether insider language, once public, remains a lever for emotion, or whether it requires new layers of indirection to recapture astonishment. To summarize, professional wrestling terms constitute a specialized jargon that is essential to both performance and business. It choreographs bodies, emotions, and money with compact precision. We have considered three arcs. Historically, why the code mattered in public. Counterfactually, how its absence might have reshaped the craft. And contemporarily, how the Internet's popularization of the lexicon shifted dynamics between producers and audiences. For further study, consider the evolution of sports jargon in other entertainment forms, where secrecy, commerce, and storytelling likewise intermingle. In conclusion, thank you for joining us in understanding professional wrestling terms.
Thank you, Professor.